Welcome to Healthcare Sucks. I'm back. He's back. That means the woo-ha's still around. With that, we're going to jump right into it tonight. Part 3. We're going to go with some more Michael and Pastor Paul. Jump over, do a little BP. And then we're going to see what's fresh out there. And then we'll be back on some other stuff. I'm going to go heat up the house a little bit, I think. And then start a little fire so we're nice and warm and snuggly buggly. And work in the studio and get it prepared. I might try to do some live stuff this weekend. I know I keep telling you, I'm sorry, I'm such a failure. But I try to make things good. And right now I've been using the studio. I'm guilty of an overflow for the supplies. Yeah. If you seen it right now, you'd be like, OMG. And with that, here we go with some more Michael and Pastor P.
I was watching the numbers carefully, and I would encourage everybody to do so now. You're going to notice that the numbers are just simply not right. With the individuals that had the virus, they were on the West Coast. Well, when they were confined to the West Coast, it popped up in other nations as well as the East Coast. Then you had these conflicting stories of individuals who had them in a variety of states, and those articles went away only to come back again about a couple of weeks later. So what we have is an accountability issue. The average person that gets sick, they coughs or something like that, they're not going to the doctor.
No.
Some people tough it out. The only way they can actually add a person to their numbers is if a person reports to a hospital.
Yeah.
And then that hospital runs a test and they get the data back. That's the only way. So normally here's how it works. If for the numbers that they're giving in the USA, you multiply that by a few factors. If it's 1,000, for example, well then you know that there is a great chance that 3/4 of the people will not report to the hospital. So only 1,000 of all who have it will report to the hospital. The other 3/4 will not report to the hospital. So whatever number you have of those people detected, that number, you have to raise that number because that would be a very inaccurate number as far as having absolute accountability.
So you're saying, in other words, whenever you see the numbers, you at least take it times 5 here in America, certainly.
Yeah.
Maybe more.
And with this virus, likely even more than 5, I would say.
Maybe 10.
More than 5.
Maybe 10, maybe 20.
Now, given that fact also, the lethality of this virus, as far as those who get it and those who die, if you look at the causes behind the individuals who are dying because of the virus, you're going to find that these individuals were not properly taken care of. For the most part, either they had pre-existing conditions, which is why they keep saying this, or they simply were just totally depleted of water or something like that, those systems. And so the virus is causing death by dehydration. Some people had strokes, something akin to strokes, cardiac arrests, things of that nature, which are basically because a person is not getting nutrition or fluids as they have this virus because no one was attending to it. So, and the virus itself, it's likely to kill a bit more than the average virus that goes around, the average flu. True, that is true. Some of the factors are still unknown, but you're still facing something very similar to influenza, something very similar to the rest of the viruses and the flus that we have that we encounter. I know the president put out 32 or 33,000 people had the flu. Normally, over 88,000 people per year die from the flu. Normally, that's a normal number. That's been that way since 2014.
Right here in the United States, about 80,000.
In the U.S. Yes, in the U.S.
So,
8,000 people in the U.S.
So are we over-exaggerating? I mean, not over-exaggerating, but are we overreacting?
Well, the people, when they hear that there's going to be a virus and they can't get what they need, they can't get the info they need, no one can actually give them a comforting word and tell them that they won't get it. People panic. The truth is, everybody will eventually get this virus. It's not going to kill everybody. That's a fact. It will not. It's a new virus. It's in a brand new environment, right? It's going to jump from host to host, to body eventually. People will get this virus just as they catch a cold, just as they catch the flu, and their body deals with it. And it's not going to kill everybody. It's just one of the issues is, and the emphasis, I think they got this one wrong, was they didn't want everybody getting this virus at one time because it'll overwhelm the hospitals, right? If everybody starts getting this virus at the same time, they're going to overwhelm the resources. Then you're going to have a people problem. The problem right now is not really the virus, it's the people's reaction to the virus, right? And people are going around buying up things, are afraid to invest. So these adverse effects are happening. Like our economy right now is in bad shape. They're going to have to lock prices in some type of way. People are losing income. Small businesses are shutting down. Schools are shutting down. Churches are shutting down. All these different things are shutting down. Mandatory quarantines are taking place tonight. Neighborhoods are being locked down. You know, this, that, and the other.
Okay, now, Mike, let's talk about this for a second. You told us 7 years ago. I remember having you on the show. I was over at the apartment at the time in the little corner. And you came on and said, Paul, something you're going to need to know is there's a day coming, a thing called citizen containment is coming.
Yes.
And when I heard that Italy completely shut the nation down, when I saw containment going on in major cities in China, but when I saw this 1 mile radius, New Rochelle, New York, that Governor Cuomo decided to shut down a Jewish community that has 108 cases of coronavirus in it, and literally sending in the National Guard. Is that what you would call, is that the beginning of a new concept in America called citizen containment?
Well, of course it is. Here's why. Anytime there's a massive exercise, right? You collect data, you see how it's working, you save that data for implementation for the next time. It just so happens we have a real scenario taking place. Out of all the simulations that have been conducted in the United States of America, we have a real scenario taking place. This scenario is going to last as long as this virus spreads. In the meanwhile, it's going to cause some issues and some problems, and there are going to be some changes.
Do you think, is there going to be more of these? Do you see more across the country?
We're not even at the precipice of this virus. When the plateau of this virus hits, the numbers will begin to decline. But prior to that time, Pastor Paul, it's going to spread through, it's going to sweep through America. And again, the people are reacting in this odd, strange way. Half of that is due to our minds have, well, not us, we're older, but this generation thinks in a very strange way because of computers. It's a demand type of mindset that they have. And this virus is just simply not computing. So they go into a panic and they go get everything they can because they're afraid to catch the virus, not understanding the nature of the virus itself.
But is some of that, Mike, and I hate to interrupt, but is some of that media driven? I mean, isn't the media and these big corporations just shutting down industries?
Are you still there?
Yeah, Mike, is some of this media driven, creating panic and fear? And,
yes.
you know.
Yes. Yeah, because even the media, you can look at the faces. I was looking at the media, and I looked into the faces of the media. Very few of them know what's going on. They actually have a fear behind themselves also. So they are.
And we're going to jump to something else. We'll be back to that, though, because over several videos, I want to show you guys the whole thing, or you can go watch it all yourself. With Brother Paul and Mike, we used the Fair Use Act Pastor Paul uses it, which means I can share his stuff. And Council of Time just came out and brought out so we can share his stuff anyway. So it's not for me to get rich or anything else. By the way, this is always an illusion. There's nobody on the TV, but we know better. So we got all that out of control. Only you can make the decisions. He covered a lot of things, did he not? I apologize for the sound. It always comes through like that because he's off of a speaker thing. Even when he does his own, from his own channel, I think maybe he distorts his voice a little bit because of what his... Again, I told you guys he used to work for some kind of a high-level agencies. So he's well connected. To the point to where he can only share certain things that aren't giving up his security code type thing. He's not a fake, one of these fake people. I've watched him for a decade, give or take, I think about that long. And same with BP and a bunch of others that I watch. And they're for real. With that, the new kid on the block was Marfugal News. Marv, go check him out. But, I watched him grow from like, who the hell is that? To like, oh my God, this guy's impressive. And he does care. Go check him out. Snafu, like me, just a little fish. Whereas my history is, guys, I've been doing this for 30 years. It's just, I had a YouTube way back when, and it got jumbled and bumbled and disappeared. But I do this in person. I went out there and made differences in person and help people do pain contracts, help people negotiate with doctors that couldn't negotiate, help people get Social Security. I do a lot. I've done a lot. And then fighting my own battles. Latest and still continuing is the opiate farce. The conquest for mental health beds to be returned to people, including the 4 that they don't like to talk about because they actually work, guys. That's why they're pulling it, is to drive people crazy. Again, this is all Agenda 21 population thinning. I've been telling you guys this for years. And now we're at the front of it. If you think the Wuhan monster isn't the biggest population thinning monster out there, wait till it's over. You heard him do numbers, by the way. Huge numbers. Crazy numbers. But they're factual. So we're going to check out... I want to go to... like I said, BP here. I have to go back a ways. We're not going to do the technical plate one. What we're going to do is... I'm having troubles. Yeah, let's go with this, and then we'll jump from this to something else. Here, this is probably not even being covered, guys, amongst everything else going on.
It's time. But there's some pretty radical things going on. If it's not a quake, what kind of shift are we going through? And I have seen 1 or 2 buoys go off in the past 10 years that were accidental, but we've got 1, 2 here to the west side of Australia, 2 to the east, 2 to the southeast, and we've got 1 over on the coast of Africa. Let's check this out. This is the one that really amazes me, and I don't know what's going on. I'm not claiming to know what's going on. I'm reporting what I see. You click on this. This is station number 3204, and let me zoom it up for the video. Now this is called station 32401, just off the west coast of South America. Your average water height here is it's looking at around 4,800 meters deep. Now, today it dropped, and this green line, and the green line indicates a 1-minute drop. The blue line indicates this time span in 15 minutes. A red line, you see this dot right there, 15 seconds. But in 1 minute, it dropped more than the depth of the ocean. In other words, it bottomed out. You can say you're 5,800 meters or 4,800 meters. That line is 5,000 meters. And then it takes a while before it comes back up, and there's some rapid changes because of this red dot. Again, I don't know what is going on here. Let me back this back out. But either we have a major glitch going on that's across the southern hemisphere, or we have problems that we don't know about. We'll look at the earthquake map, and it's not showing anything strong, but it would take either a massive computer error with all these buoys, and at this wide of a pattern, that's highly unusual, or we've had a major shift somewhere. I don't know if that has anything to do with the rest of the problems that we see, but again, let's look at the earthquakes. And bpearthwatch.com, the earthquake's at the top, but if you're watching these buoys come down, guys, let's see, they are right here, National Data Buoy Center, been there for years. But let's take a look at the earthquakes. And this is set for today, and you can see that maybe one of the stronger ones are here, which is a 5.1 southeast of Puerto Ormuelas in Panama, down in South America in Chile, 5.2, and across this area. And remember, there was two west of Australia, two east and two southeast, and then one over in this area where this 5.2 was, and that's the strongest signal that we're getting. Don't know what it is. It's a heads up, guys.
And the reason we're covering that is because everything else is going on, and he covers it, so I might as well cover it. That could be a prequel to an earthquake, and that is the ring of fire that goes up. That's what I was trying to point to you. Ring of fire, watch, guys, it's like up here, it goes all the way down. So you're talking from South America, there's a line, see that line? It goes up all the way over there to Asia area, down to Australia. But ring of fire is where the plates are moving and stuff. I'll go into earthquakes with you, but for earthquake, again, the great earthquake detective is Dutch Sense. He's 100%, guys. He's not fiction either. No fiction. So I'm going to jump to this before this thing conks out. I want you to check out what Bill Gates is doing. Covered by, again, Mr. BP.
20. Guys, you're looking at an article from Zero Hedge. This goes back maybe a week ago. Maybe things are moving pretty fast. On a video, I said that major people are bugging out. Politicians are claiming self-quarantine, from Trudeau and his wife to many on the Hill. I think Canadian Parliament has shut down now. And Bob Iger, I think the CEO of Disney, stepped down a couple weeks ago. Bankers are stepping down. This has been going on for about 2 years. But why would Bill Gates step down from Microsoft today, 1 hour after the close of another one of the most tumultuous weeks in Wall Street history? Bill Gates, the billionaire founder of Microsoft, resigned from the company's board. And so many of you have put in the comments about 201.
Event 201.
You think these guys
Go
are
check
not
it out.
bugging out? And so if you're going to step down from that, why would you step down from Berkshire Hathaway the same day? That's Warren Buffett's company. He's another billionaire. And Berkshire Hathaway is the conglomerate, they're saying, run by his friend Warren Buffett. Both men have been in the press a lot lately amid the market turmoil and viral panic. Market turmoil has nothing to do with any of this. This is about things like the Denver airport, the underground bunkers. They know what is coming, guys. The new charts are alarming. Well, why would Bill Gates do this, guys? Remember I mentioned Atlas Shrugged, the book by Anne Ryan? In the video, I was talking about everyone bugging out. And then it struck me today when Trump came out into the Rose Garden. He had the usual group behind him, and some CEOs of banks and Walmart and Target CEO was there in the Rose Garden. But he said he's not worried about it, even though he's come in contact with people from different nations that have been tested positive. And I know that was it Bolivia's president that first tested positive, then came back negative, but his assistant is still positive, and he had supper with Trump and his wife at Mar-a-Lago. And Mar-a-Lago probably needs to be cleaned very heavily. But what Trump said about, a reporter said, are you concerned, President Trump, because you've been in contact with these people that are coming down with this virus? And he said, no, I have the best doctors. He sounded very cheerful. He was as cheerful, for you guys that have been watching this a long time, as when the press asked Obamacare about certain things and how people would be able to afford it. He said, really, as far as I'm concerned, I have free medical health here, health insurance, and free doctors here in the White House. That's what Obama said, if you guys remember. Well, Trump was kind of the same way today, very blowing it off like. And the only thing I could think of, anybody that has been exposed that many times, and along with many other people in D.C., guys, they know more than we do, and they possibly have a vaccine or have taken a vaccine.
There you go, guys.
When you see Bill Gates
Yep.
drop out of both companies today, Atlas shrugged, and he is shrugging. And who is John Galt? We got many of them right now. Now let's go to our website for a moment at bpearthwatch.com. And guys, this I have to say, this is the work of my wife, Tina. She does an excellent job. And you notice that the CDC COVID-19 virus map is here. Now, it's not updated, and I don't think.
And he covered several things. We might be back to see some Brother BP in a future video. But basically, the reason I show that is I want you guys to know that there's some strange things afoot. When the one percenters are going underground, guys, we've talked about that for years. And that's what we're seeing, is the 1% is starting to tuck and roll. And again, they have sources. And did you hear him say exactly what I've been saying about China? They have an immunization vaccine and an antiviral. Otherwise, their troops would be down. The factory cities would be down. There's a lot more going on. I'm not going to go into that tonight. I'm going to try to stay on the health stuff. What we just talked about in the last video was mental health. In this video, I believe we touched on mental health and stuff. Well, let's take a look. There's actually got a channel covering it. Let's look at it together. And see what it says here. Oh my gosh. Here we go. Sorry guys for the delay. I'm old. That's a poor excuse.
Pandemic of the 21st century has led to the largest quarantine in human history.
Concerns about mental health.
Cities have turned into ghost towns. Millions are under lockdown in parts of Asia and Europe. Public squares, where communities have been converging for centuries, are almost empty. In today's hyper-connected world, doctors and governments are urging less social contact to reduce the risk of infection. But there are concerns that social distancing, although vital in these times, can also lead to social isolation.
Intent of social distancing is in fact to protect those who are the most vulnerable, in particular the elderly and those with underlying medical conditions. It's also to try to reduce the rate of the spread of the disease so that we can avoid overwhelming the healthcare system with too many ill patients at the same time. But I certainly understand that those who are already the most vulnerable already face the greatest barriers to care and may have limited social networks. And we're asking them to limit these social networks even further.
In New York, volunteers of local charity groups like this one are working overtime to deliver food to the elderly and poor stuck at home. Those who aren't just vulnerable to the virus, but also hunger.
And where is that going on in the United States? A little bit, I see, but not enough. We need to get people packing those things out to the poor, the needy, the mentally ill, the seniors and disabled. I mean, this is, again, Agenda 21, guys. Population thinning just keeps coming to mind. And who's getting attacked? Me, because I'm an attacker. Duck. Hey, be nice. Nice woo-ha. All right. Sorry, woo-ha got out of control. The beast is out of control. I've been telling you guys that. Let's check back.
Very serious, especially those who have the vulnerable conditions or pre-existing conditions. They can't get out like some of us can, like you and I. So for them, they are affected because they cannot eat, and also they're isolated.
The World Health Organization says now more than ever, communities must come together and stand with those neglected by society.
When we speak about that vulnerability, we cannot forget migrants. We cannot forget undocumented workers. We cannot forget prisoners in prisons. They may be serving sentence, but they deserve no less protection under the law than others. So when we talk about stigma, we also need to really look carefully at exclusion.
Voices of hope. Chants of solidarity. Spontaneous and resilient also show how in these trying times, people are finding new ways to break the barriers of isolation and loneliness.
Go, 99. Team
Let's take a look
99.
at some other news now. Iraq's president has condemned airstrikes by the US, which killed 6 people. The head of the US military central command has defended the strikes, saying they targeted Iranian-backed fighters. The US says the strikes were in response to a rocket attack that killed 3 soldiers on Wednesday. 2 American and a British soldier died after nearly 20 rockets were fired at a military.
And at the end of the video, we got this. I might lead with the next video, if you guys watch that, with a little bit of this mental health and helping people, because I really think this is something that needs to be addressed. Not just as my bylaw, but it's always what I have done, is help those who cannot help themselves. Of course, I'm only one man. So with that, again, in this time of needs, I want you to go buy stuff for yourself. But you can always send a card, say, healthcare, you suck, or a shirt, and I'll wear it, or a hat. I love hats and shirts. Or a little card that says, healthcare, you suck, get a new job. You're fired! You can send it to, and this is ghetto, guys. I apologize. Troy at Healthcare Sucks, P.O. Box 3, Otis, O-T-I-S, Oregon, 97368. Again, Troy at Healthcare Sucks, P.O. Box 3, Otis, Oregon, 97368. And if Otis isn't hillbilly enough sounding for you, there was Petticoat Junction for all you old timers out there. At the junction. At the junction. Great oldie. I'm serious. Even for you young pups. And I love you all one age to age. Because I'm really a young pup on the inside. That's what keeps me going. But some great old time... it's way better than Andy Griffith kind of stuff. But Pat... I lost it. Oh. All right. End of video. Take. Cut. Because healthcare sucks. Over and out. We'll be back.